Hey folks, Doug Blake with Body Design University, and in today's video, we're going to talk about one of the standard no-go exercises known as the upright row. Now, look, before you send in comments and tell me how much you love the exercise and how much it works your delts, please understand, when we talk about a no-go exercise, we're talking about utilizing the exercise the way it was originally intended, the way I used to do them all the time many years ago as a competitive bodybuilder and athlete. We did upright rows all the time. It was a standard exercise. Now, it's not that it doesn't work. And this is why I want to make sure we're very clear. When we talk about no-go exercises, we're talking about exercises that for whatever reason, and they're generally biomechanically based, right? There's issues and problems from a biomechanical standpoint. And because of that, we do not subject our clients to the exercise. Also keep in mind that perhaps, and especially with this exercise, there's a range of motion issue that makes it more problematic at particular end ranges of motion. And I'm going to explain that to you. But just keep in mind, when we talk about no-go exercises, there's a reason why we don't do a particular exercise with our clients. Okay, number one is, of course, like I'm saying, biomechanically, it doesn't matter who does the exercise. It's a problem, and it's going to cause inflammation, even if it's minor inflammation, but it will cause some level of chronic issues associated with doing the exercise on a regular basis. So because there's biomechanical issues at the joint, in this case, the shoulder joint, there's going to be some long-term issue or problem. You may not notice it. I didn't notice it for years until I had to get my shoulder operated on. The point is that even without it happening to you, because of the science behind biomechanics, we know that this type of exercise, because you're using resistance, right? You're imposing a load on the muscles in these particular positions. Because of that, they have inherent biomechanical problems. You can do them for 5 years, 10 years, and probably not feel anything. It doesn't mean that you're not doing some level of damage, minor or otherwise. So we just don't do them with our clients, and that's the reason why. Okay, so that's one thing to keep in mind. The other, one of the other reasons we talk about no-go exercises, because for the most part, there are other exercises. Why are you not doing other exercises with your clients? Now, again, I understand that if you are training, in this case, when we talk about upright rows, when we're talking about training your deltoids, what do most individuals do? Most individuals actually want to train their deltoids with 3, 4, 5, 6 different exercises. So in order to, accomplish the volume that you think you need to do, right, you're going to choose lateral raises, dumbbell presses, shoulder presses behind the neck, shoulder presses in front, machine shoulder presses. What are some other exercises for your deltoids? Rear deltoid exercises, front lateral raises, right? We're already talking about 5, 6, upwards of 10, 15 different ways to do the basic movements, pressing and lateral raises. You can do them with, right? You can train with a band, rubber band, right? Resistance band. What else can you do? I mean, there's 1,000 different ways or variations. The point is why then are you doing upright rows? That's kind of the idea. So what we have to make sure we understand is that, yes, you can actually do the upright row, quote, correctly. And I want to explain to you how you would do that. But in order to do it correctly, you have to limit your range of motion. So let's kind of start here. When we look at an upright row, what are some of your options when it comes to, for instance, hand position? And this is one of the reasons why, if you're a competitive bodybuilder or you're an athlete, right, and you need to do, for instance, Olympic lifts, you see what I've just done is I've now eliminated one entire group of individuals that I'm probably not going to train from a personal training perspective. If I'm an athletic trainer, more than likely I have to do the clean and jerk or the snatch, which requires that movement pattern of internal rotation at the shoulders, right? And then abduction, right? And I've got to do those movements. But you'll notice that for the most part on the snatch, the hands are wide apart. Now, with the clean and jerk, of course, they're going to be a little bit closer together, but you get the idea is that I've eliminated an entire group of folks, athletes, right? So I'm not going to talk about athletes because, perhaps they do need to do some type of upright rowing movement. I'm talking about your average client, apparently healthy individual. 99.99% of everybody you train is going to fit into that category. And so where is the problem? Well, hand position wise, as soon as the hands come in close together, which is generally the way, like I used to do them, right? Up close like this. Well, as soon as the hands move close in together, if I look at my shoulder, again, this is biomechanics. When I look at my shoulder, what I've now done is I've adducted, right, the shoulder. So the shoulder is adducted as my hands move closer together. And now what do I have to do? I now have to perform abduction. The closer the hands are together, stay with me, the closer you move the hands in together when you do an upright row, either from here or, for instance, here, you'll notice the position of the elbows change, which means that there's different biomechanics occurring at the shoulder, right? So my shoulder is either extending or flexing horizontally, right? Horizontal flexion, horizontal extension. You can call it horizontal adduction or abduction. That's not the kinesiological term I'm interested in talking about right now. It's the internal rotation, okay, of the shoulder that becomes the real issue. And so when the hands are closer in together, you're going to find that the shoulder internally rotates a little bit more than when the when the hands are a little further apart. Just try it. By the way, all of this came about because I was doing the exercises and they hurt, especially when I went higher and higher. Okay. And this is the case. If you do them with a bar, a straight bar, you know what I'm talking about. You generally throw them up to the top position, but try doing them slow and controlled. And you're going to notice that when you get up this top position, use enough, significant enough load, significant enough weight, and you're going to feel it just doesn't feel right in the shoulder joint. And remember, when it comes to training any exercise, if there's pain or discomfort in the joint, not the muscle that you're working, but pain or discomfort, sort of funky going on in the joint, you got a problem. Okay. So the point here with upright rows is that because you are combining two movements, transverse and frontal planar movements, right? Transverse meaning internal rotation, combined with abduction, abduction at the shoulder. Okay. That's why you'll notice when we do a shoulder press, how is your shoulder positioned? Transverse plane wise. It's externally rotated, right? We do presses in an externally rotated position. Now, not overly externally rotated because that's its own problem. When you do lateral raises, how do you normally do them, right? We do them in a neutrally, not internally rotated and not fully externally rotated, but in a neutrally internal rotated position, right? Now, I know some people, they turn their thumb down to work their rear deltoid. Again, biomechanically, that makes little to no sense. You might as well just lean forward. How's that? Okay, if you want to work your rear delts, you lean forward when you're doing your lateral raises. The point is that when I'm standing upright, I have to go into an internally rotated position. Does that make sense? Lateral raises, upright rows, upright rows. See the difference? Okay. So you'll notice though, here's the other part of this. And this is why I will tell an athlete or a bodybuilder, just as a, for instance, sure, you can do upright rows and you can actually do them safely. You get the idea. It's a no-go exercise for a couple of reasons. One of them is because biomechanically there's a problem. But if you're an athlete and you just feel like you got to do that exercise, you can do them. But your range of motion has got to be very limited. In other words, range of motion to do an upright row safely, where you're not imposing, loads on the shoulder joint, particularly the AC joint. You're not imposing these problematic positions at the shoulder. You can't go up very far. It's really simple. You want to do it correct? Don't go up very far. But now, wait a minute. If you don't go up very far, then you're not getting a proper shortening of the deltoid to functionally work it the way I would want to work it efficiently. So you get the idea that at the very beginning of this video, I said, why even bother doing it when you have so many other great exercises? So you get the idea with a client, generally with clients that train 2 or 3 days a week, how many exercises are you doing with them anyway? Ideally, 2, maybe 3 exercises. Well, I've already got meat and potato great exercises for my deltoids. Why do I want to kind of waste my time doing an upright row from bottom position to about waist height? Because remember, any higher starts to cause problems at the shoulder joint because I'm internally rotated. And the greater the angle, or the greater the lift, or the abduction, right? Angle of abduction, the higher I go with the elbow, what starts to happen? Well, now you start to get this, and I'm not going to go into the actual skeletal issues, but just understand that humeral head butts up. It's not a smooth, round end of the joint, end of the bone. Okay, it's got protrusions. It's got all these little outcroppings, these bony outcroppings. Okay, and they will squeeze and push and cause, either acute inflammatory responses while you're doing it, which could create long-term chronic issues at the shoulder, especially the higher and the higher you go. And just keep in mind, the higher and higher you go, what's going to happen to your shoulder girdle? It's going to elevate. Okay. You get the idea. There's a number of permutations I can go from here. But the point is that at the shoulder joint, it's problematic. It's the higher you go. So can you do it correctly? Can you have your clients do it? Sure. You just go from here to here. But once again, how much deltoid activation are you getting when you do that? I'd much rather have my clients hold dumbbells and lift them up and do lateral raises, especially since I'm only going to do 2 or 3 exercises. That makes sense. Okay. So there's biomechanical issues, especially the higher you go, right? Okay. There's problems that can cause issues in the joint itself. And I don't want to do that to my clients, right? So I can modify it by not going as high, but now I've just lost efficiency of training the deltoids, right? So I've got that issue. Now I do it correctly, right? But why do it, quote, correctly and inefficiently to train the deltoids when I know I already have 2 or 3 great exercises that don't cause problems at the shoulder joint? Yes, of course. I'm not telling you not to do them. You're not paying me to be your trainer right now. Therefore, I can't tell you what to do. I'm just giving you the science. So just be careful when you're doing, if you're going to do the exercise, be very, very careful when you're doing it. If you've got clients, you're training the average client, apparently healthy individual, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old. They've never worked out before. Please be careful and go with the exercises that we already know are very effective, and you can use much less resistance, right? And get really good results, i.e. lateral raises and dumbbell presses and all their permutations and possibilities to do those. So as always, when I explain the no-go exercises, I know there are folks that go, I love that exercise. I did it for years, ladies and gentlemen. I did it for years. I did it with very heavy weight. I did it close in, far out. And generally what I found is that I know I developed issues with it, and I know my fellow athletes and bodybuilders over the years have also had issues and problems. Just be careful in your exercise choice. It's a no-go exercise, and just keep that in mind. And of course, as always, we are here to help you to be industry-leading personal trainers, get certified, and make sure that you subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell so you know when all the new material is coming out. And by the way, go to our Facebook page, because we have a private study group. And if you want more information on how to become a certified trainer, you just click on that link below, and you can get all the information that you need. As always, have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.